Good evening. Welcome everyone virtually and in present to the Jamaica Selectboard meeting, regular meeting of Monday, October 9th, 2023. I'd like to start the meeting by inviting Derek to say a few words invoking today's holiday. Is that
Thank you. Sure, yeah. Just in recognition of Indigenous Peoples Day and the land that we're on and the place that we inhabit, wanted to offer recognition and respect to the Elnu Abenaki tribe, which were the traditional sort of forebears of the land we live on, and recognize that, and hopefully we offer stewardship to the land in honor of that.
Hear, hear. Thank you. Thank you very much. So now on to the regular meeting agenda. So first I'll call for any late additions. No late additions. First order of business, Sarah has circulated a draft of the minutes from the September 5th regular meeting of the Select Board. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the September 25th regular meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? No discussion. I'll call a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the September 25th regular meeting, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. No opposed. You have a small group tonight, Mary. I'd like to introduce Meridith Roberts, who is our new Assistant Town Clerk and Assistant Treasurer.
Thank you.
She goes by Mary for short. And how has it been? She's been here 1 week.
1 week, it was great.
I heard that you guys are like, you've known each other for your like a long time.
It feels very seamless.
Natural.
Yes. Very comfortable in the office.
Oh, I am so glad. It took us a while to find you, but it takes every day,
Yes.
right? So I'm thrilled. I think everyone here has stopped in to say hello.
I believe I've met everybody.
Yeah, and you'll be meeting a lot more people. So thank you for joining us and welcome.
Thank you.
So next to our every meeting topic, which is the FEMA topics. Mike is on Zoom, and I know he sent something in, but I think we can probably largely discuss these, Greg, between you and I. Do you want to take, well, I was not present at the last FEMA meeting. Oh, okay. Mike is there. Let's see, can we hear you, Mike? You want to do a sound check?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Perfectly. So you were at the last meeting, correct?
Yes, I was. It was really kind of the final meeting related to damages. There were a few areas that we didn't want to include, and actually in the past week there's some other areas that we may also want to involve Mr. Berenson with our FEMA representative too. But we really just tried to complete all the damages that we had for noted roads, but we have identified some other damages more recently.
And those still need to be uploaded into the portal, or would you say everything's in the portal at this point?
Those will need to be updated in the portal. Really, they were just identified last week.
Okay, and are we still doing those with Mike, or do we do those on our own now?
Well, I haven't done any by myself, but
Okay.
I would run them through Mike.
Okay.
Just to play it safe. But yeah,
great.
we'll recognize those. Just maybe try to catch up.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. And then the next subtopic is open proposals. Greg, can I kind of turn that over to you as to the status of the open proposals?
Sure. Excuse me. We have quite a lot of them that we're trying to get wrapped up before winter. Some of these are bigger ones that are just kind of falling into place now. A lot of the permitting and getting the permissions to get in the river and all that kind of stuff is just kind of fallen into the place in the past couple of days. So we don't have actually any proposals for tonight.
Right.
We are anxious to keep them moving forward, so I'll run through this, what we're kind of working on, but then I'll probably throw out a proposal that we actually have in an emergency meeting or a special meeting in a week or so to give the contractors enough time to react to them. We have been lucky that we've had some good weather, so we're still able to continue working the rivers, and that will continue, I mean, as long as the weather holds up. So many of these are slide areas where there's 3 on Pikes Falls that we're seeking to finish this fall. There's a few other ones, but those are the significant ones. There's 2 on Goodyville Road. There's the bridge on Goodyville Road that is still going back and forth a little bit with some of the engineers, but we hope to get that temporarily opened.
Oh.
The Goodyville Road Bridge, that's my hope and desire.
Oh, okay. Does that bear any relationship to reality, or?
It does. I think we've talked to some of the contractors. I think they have some, there's some good ideas on how we can make that work. It wouldn't be a full replacement, not replacement, it wouldn't be a full fix for this fall, but just to stabilize it so that we can have the bridge open for winter, and we'd have to monitor it pretty regularly just to make sure that it's, if we don't have another event or something like that. So the bridge itself is stable, it's just the protective wing wall.
Right, the wing walls.
Which is being eroded from behind. If we don't have a high water event, the water won't get behind it again, and we're looking at being able to get back in the river to, put up a little temporary stonework to keep the water out. So that's just a quick look at that one. Some of these slide areas are challenging. That's why they've taken so long. They're over 25 feet high, as an example, which requires the slope to pitch out basically into the course of the waterway. There's one on Pikes Falls that sits on a ledge that's slanted away from the road and into the river, so any type of riprap you put on there is going to want to slide automatically. So may require pouring a concrete deck there, doing some jackhammering. I mean, so they're much more complicated. So that's some of what's challenging and taking them for so long. 2 points of good news is that we will also have next week, and these are a little bit more straightforward, proposals to do some patch paving on Pikes Falls Road and on the village side of South Hill.
Okay. So the South Hill holes will.
Right, and looking at doing those all in one proposal. They would include doing some of those bank erosion, those ditch erosions on South Hill and on Pikes Falls, resurfacing above the existing, or let's call it that, the 2 larger culverts on Upper Pikes Falls.
Yeah.
So putting new pavement on those. The good news is the new culvert is in and has pavement on it. So we have a new culvert in our town. So
Box culvert.
Box culvert's big, and we'll just work on getting the other 2 done in the next few years, I guess. But so that's it. And then Water Street. Water Street is the other big one. So there's a couple points of work to be done there. There's securing the bank along Water Street. There's removing the debris that's against the pier in the river. And there's also some riprap and some armoring. That's the word I was looking for. Underneath the bridge on one of the piers.
The north side, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
And then at the same time, to do a little bit of stream channel work so that it's taking off some of the pressure that's where the stream is constantly hitting along Water Street. So kind of re-channel it back into where its original position was, which in a big event is going to jump out of there again, but at least it holds it for a temporary term. Some of the bigger projects, like removing debris from the river, you and I talked about this before, and I know Mike's been going back and forth. Debris removal as far as all the rocks and gravel and things like that will more than likely not be this fall. Pending, and we submit them for approval to FEMA for funding, but because it's both timing and expense. Yeah, they jump a little bit. The ones we're all talking about here are emergency repairs, as they define them, or based on the storm, getting things back to the original state, and for safety purposes, things like that. Taking the debris out of the river is more of a mitigation to ensure that there's less damage in the future, but it means it's jumping into a different pot of money for FEMA, and it takes another level of bureaucracy, I suppose. Right, but we'll push to see if we can't do those projects in the spring, correct? Yeah, right, exactly, absolutely. And I know Mike's been working on a number of people in several towns too, are working at larger mitigation plans, river corridor studies and things like that to, not just for next summer, but bigger pictures to,
Right, even multi-year,
yeah, right.
coordinated efforts. So then I have another category in terms of FEMA. Mike, was there anything else you wanted to raise there?
Well, I would, yeah, Gary's here, and Gary is a property owner that has the slope failure just above Old Route 8. Greg, do you see that as a project that we would consider as well, or at least portion of that project?
Yeah, that slipped my mind. I apologize. So we originally looked at doing the upper and lower sections of that section as one project. I think it came back and we were a little bit, had to swallow hard at the cost of it, but also, again, concerned whether the work on the lower half, which slopes down into the river, would be, it's pretty straightforward that would be considered emergency repair. The upper part may be considered mitigation. So we were gonna put that back out to bid also. And I'm guessing, this is just me personally, that we would move forward with the stabilization on the lower section, in the river. And the upper section would be really just that stabilization so that the slide wouldn't continue out in the river. It wouldn't be, I'm motioning with my hand that nobody probably can see, but it wouldn't go all the way up the slope.
You know that up to the camera.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know if that answers the questions and we don't have that. We put it out to bid. One of the contractors came back as we bid it as one project. So we were gonna put it back out there. I guess us as a board, we had tabled that before, deciding whether or not we wanted to rebid it or put it off till next spring as far as doing that project. Some of the other concern is that we are working with a limited amount of contractor power, so to speak, and a limited window of time, and that road, while it is a road, it provides it has two means of access where it's not as significant as Pikes Falls as an example, or South Hill. So it may just not be, it's a priority, but it may not be a super priority.
Right. The only thing is, we did resolve that we would obtain, at the very least, proposals exclusively for the bottom half, so to speak.
Right.
Because we had reasonable confidence that it would be a sum of money that would be reimbursed by FEMA.
Yep.
And that anyone of the group that wanted to bid on the upper half could bid on the upper half, but it was complicated and we weren't sure, if we would get any bids for that other than the one RFP that had previously given us a giant number for both.
Right, exactly.
So we are aligned to get that proposal for the bottom half. It's just that the proposal for the top half is probably informational for FEMA. And then if in the spring we get the thumbs up from FEMA, we can commission it and move ahead.
Right. Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, so we can lump the lower half, but we can put that out for bid again. And I think one of the things now, I'll bring it up now, is that we were talking about the complexity of some of these and getting the scopes of the RFPs and getting the approvals. Took a little longer than we expected, so we don't have anything to vote on tonight, but in the anticipation of wanting to move fairly quickly, I'm going to suggest we call a special meeting for next Monday that we could do via Zoom, just to open and decide on probably half a dozen RFPs.
Yeah, so whoever's available, we do need
It could be
one
Monday,
or
it could be
three.
Tuesday, it could be earlier in the afternoon, it could
Right.
be, it'll be an open meeting, but it'll be Zoom only.
It'll be Zoom.
Yeah. And,
I mean, I can come in, I can open them physically here, so.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll bring my laptop.
Do we want to go at 7 or earlier, or?
What do people want? Is 7 good? You wanna do
Planning
later?
Commission next Monday?
Huh?
Planning Commission
They are here next Monday.
Yeah, so we could do 6, because
Okay.
they start 7, right?
Yeah. And we
So
could
why
even
don't
do
we-
it, if it's just you,
Right.
you could even do it in there.
Well, I'll work with Sarah to get it posted on Thursday, so I'll confirm it, but why don't we tentatively say 6 o'clock next Monday?
Good for
Again,
me.
Zoom, or anybody who wants to come in, I'll be here with my laptop. Really, Derek is the one who would think might come in since he's across the street, but.
Yeah, and the plan commission generally doesn't do their meetings on Zoom, so it's not a.
No,
conflict
it
of
is not.
Zoom, it's just the space
It's
here in the
not.
room, and so we could always jump in.
Right, and then I'll feel guilty if I leave.
Okay.
All good on that? So, Mike, did you want to do a quick update on where things stand with the private homeowners that we've submitted our NRCS letter of support?
Sure. I updated the letter actually as of today to 19 properties and projects that would be arguably deemed NRCS USDA worthy. We do have them taking a look at those projects for evaluation. Les Wright with NRCS is supposed to visit with me tomorrow morning at the Fire and Rescue Building to kind of start our visit. He does have, I think, maybe a couple hours here in town. I don't think he has the whole day, but we're trying to utilize his time expeditiously and have him at least take a look at the fire station area going down to Water Street, Depot Street, down to Meadows Road if possible, before he heads out to another community. But so we are focused on those properties at least tomorrow and getting their attention, but we do want to meet the deadline, which is fast approaching. So if there are any other properties that folks know about that may not have hit our radar, please let me know or one of the select board members know so we can get them documented. I did add one property on Castle Hill Road today, another one just across the street where the Sugar Shack is. They had a lot of erosion coming out just underneath the bridge there. And there's another property on Depot Street I'm going to be looking at a little bit later on as well. So there are other properties, but FEMA came out last week on Thursday. They were concerned about the amount of material that's in that smaller culvert right behind the driveway to the fire station. We have contacted V-Trans about getting that rubble or that rock material removed from that, which could potentially pose a problem for access into the fire station. But that's a big concern. They also looked across the street, and like many of these agencies, they didn't have enough time to kind of go down the stream channel further on Meadows. But they do have our information. We are looking at maybe a 2-phase plan for removing debris from the stream channel, at least starting next construction season. They did see some concerns in the channel now that may preempt some emergency efforts, but we're not aware of that as yet. But they were quite amazed by the amount of deposition that's in our village right now. And we're trying to develop a plan that makes sense, that kind of works from the top down and addresses these demands and logically how to mitigate the situation.
Right. So 19 properties, and Mike, I hate to put you on the spot. Do you remember offhand what the new, I know the deadline keeps getting pushed out. What is the deadline currently?
It's either the 12th or the 14th. I'm treating it as the 12th, but so it's really this week. I want to make sure we have all properties recognized.
Okay.
It may be the 14th, but I think it's the 12th.
Yeah.
It
Assume
depends
it's the
on
12th.
which entity you're talking to.
Right. Okay, terrific.
But I think we've gotten just about everybody that's expressed concern.
Great.
But if there are other ones, please let us know. We can add after. It just becomes much more difficult to get their attention, I think, after these deadlines pass.
Exactly. Great. All right. Thank you so much, Mike. So we don't have a lister here, so you're just going to have to put up with me, and maybe Sarah will help me if I'm getting anything wrong. So shy of the traditional anniversary by which the town must undertake a townwide appraisal, we need to begin that process now. That is based on the new statute, which looks at the disparity between the lowest value and the highest value properties in a town. Is that roughly accurate? I mean, I don't have the formula memorized. Yeah.
Was a big part of it too.
Oh, was? Okay, all right. If anybody has any questions about that, please feel free to email me and I can send you the links as to the triggers for that requirement. So the listers, Karen and Pat, have put together an appraisal request for proposal. And that will be sent out to third-party providers that undertake these large year-long, sometimes more than a year-long appraisals in order to revalue all of the properties in the town of Jamaica. And the RFP is done. I'm not sure, do you know if it's actually formally gone out?
I don't think so.
Right, but it's done, it's done. So if it hasn't gone out, it'll most likely go out this week. So in a meeting or two, we'll give everybody an update as to if we're getting offers to bid and just kind of keep you apprised of that. But I thank the listers very much. This was a lot of work. The RFP alone is like 15 pages. It's not, I'm exaggerating, but not much. It's a very complicated process. It's statutorily driven, so it's Byzantine in its nature, and it will not be inexpensive, but more to come on that. Another RFP going out, this is like, all we talk about is RFPs, it seems like lately. While Sarah's worn 15 hats over the last 6 months, we have set aside work to upgrade, bring to today the technology that we utilize in town, including our phone systems, our servers behind our firewall, our hosted providers, and just having a resource available that's not a member of the select board who kind of does it for free, in addition to his full-time job. So we have that request for proposal has been drafted with Mike's assistant. Everyone in the office who had 5 minutes looked at it, and of course Tom Tolbert was a very big help. We were able to identify 3 local providers who all are interested in bidding, so that's going to go out this week. Hopefully I'll have that for the next meeting. So that I think could, Mary, hopefully that'll happen soon after. But having you here means there's more than one person to be on the receiving end of the reviewing the appraisal, proposal, and also just participating in kind of the design and all of that. Been there, done that. So, okay. Next item of business is an update on the maintenance project for the transfer station. I'll talk about it high level and then any questions or if you want to dig in a little bit deeper.
Some details, so I'll jump in.
Okay, great.
You start.
Thank you.
Or,
I can start.
It doesn't matter.
Only in the sense that Mike, not long after he joined as our town administrator, highlighted winter concerns in particular at the transfer station. Those have continued. We know that had we not had a flood of the nature and size that we did, we would have tackled that project earlier. And potentially with third-party resources, that's proven challenging. And instead, we have worked together as a group, road commissioner, town administrator, road foreman, and some hanger-oners like myself, to assess what it is what we can do for ourselves. How much can we help ourselves? What can we purchase, that can assist at a reasonable cost? I should have said Kate was there as well as the liaison to the transfer station. She was not a hanger-oner, I was. And so we've had at least one productive meeting, and I know there's been work that's happened since then, so I'll turn it over to Greg.
Yeah, so I guess, exactly like you said, we kind of looked at it, there's many things that need and can and should be addressed up there, but it kind of split down, what can we do right now with internal, our own town crew. And then what do we want to look at in a bigger picture thing as far as either rebuilding, redesigning, taking a look, working with the Wyndham Regional Solid Waste, some of the people down there to figure out how we can maybe, blow it up and start over. I don't know, maybe not quite to that, but.
Except it was a landfill, so maybe not.
Yeah. But some of the stuff has been done already. The ditching along the upper edge, over the years, it just kind of had gotten sedimented in. Part of the challenge is that it's literally only a foot deep before you hit bedrock on the very back side. So in addition to that, we're gonna try to bring up the level of material between the ditch and the construction bins we're talking about in the back of the transfer station. One of the construction bin containers sits behind it, is basically one level lower as far as the height of the retaining wall. So our road crew, Keith, has ordered the blocks, the kind of large concrete blocks, which I believe are here or maybe here very soon. Yeah, okay.
They're here.
He's planning to get there tomorrow, working for a couple days when the transfer station's closed to lay up that lowest section and also bring in enough material to get the water and the drainage to pitch away from or as best we can. I mean, it may not be fully possible, but pitch away from the containers. The next level, we also talked about having some mechanism, I guess, to keep people from backing so closely with large dump trailers and dump trucks and things like that, which is deteriorating the wall. It's just a laid, large block wall about the size of this table, 2 by 6 feet blocks. And with the excessive weight of the dump trailers, which there's a lot more of that going on up there than there was 5 years ago. So they continuously push at this. We had talked about putting like a curb, almost like a sidewalk curb, and embedding that. There's still, I don't know what the right word is, still including me, a little skeptical that that's going to solve the problem because they're going to be difficult to plow around. They're going to get backed over anyways. It may just need to be a little bit more physical presence of the transfer station attendant to when somebody comes in with a dump trailer, make sure they're not backing fully right up to the edge. We may even get in a redesign to the point where these all have to be manually offloaded, that we're not taking dump trailers. I mean, many of the other transfer stations around don't do that, don't have that set up. So that's more of a big picture. So we're addressing some of these smaller ones now. In addition to that, too, one I left out that Mike's working on an RFP on is to redo some of the wooden safety tip outs, I call them, I guess, that kind of go between the wall and the dumpsters. So that's in progress too. So that hopefully within the next couple of weeks we could even have the work done on that.
Okay, great.
That's
Thank you.
Quick overview, I guess.
Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna turn it over to Derek for the next few items to share some concerns from the town and maybe some next steps.
Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, in a way, these are starting points. I don't know if we need to have conversations or with Mike too behind the scenes. But I know we had our March storm and then we had the floods over the summer, but winter is on its way and there's a lot of citizen concern, at least of the people who live in the village that I see regularly about the snow removal and the sidewalks and just the safety and security. It's amazing we haven't had an accident yet, but when the snow is piled up in front of the church and people are walking out into the street to get to the store and traffic is barreling down the road in the winter, it's quite a hazard, and I think something we should be thinking about now. So the snow removal from the sidewalks is just, I think we need to plan for it. I know at one point in the town meeting in March, somebody had mentioned, hey, can we get a new unit?
Oh, the piece of equipment, yeah.
And their suggestion was, and I'm not saying this is, viable or not, I don't know, but like, can we use that 1% tax that we were doing on the short-term rentals to fund a new machine? But whatever we do, we need to think about how we're gonna manage snow removal, because
It's
the
not,
current-
it's not good.
yeah,
Current plan's
the
not.
John Deere they have is not appropriate, and and they're struggling and working as best they can. And driving the trucks with the plow right on the sidewalk is just ruining them, which seems like a loss of a wasted resource that the town put a lot of money into. So why destroy them?
I think, I mean,
Can I jump in? Can I jump in
Oh.
also and say that the library needs to be put on the list for town maintenance to remove snow? Because I've had to track down private citizens to go and make it accessible, because when the plow comes up onto the sidewalk, there's a bank in front of the walkway that I cannot shovel through. So, it's a town building, it's a municipal library, and I think that it needs to become a priority for snow removal. The town hall gets snow removal, and nobody's using that building. The library is open throughout the week. We need to have snow removal as a priority there. Thank you.
And children go in and out.
that part's easy. How it gets done is the hard part, yeah. I'm gonna suggest, because this has been a challenge for a long time, and there's a lot of different factors in it, expense, manpower. The state trucks are going by there all night long, and then we show up in the morning and it's already set up, and there's challenges. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Right.
I'd like to propose that there be a small group to kind of pull this offline, come back with some solutions. It seems like a lot of times it maybe gets channeled to the road crew. They may or may not have a different idea. They may keep doing it the same way. Just to kind of get a group of people in the room. I'm gonna suggest maybe Derek, myself, Keith, and Mike to say, because I know that the larger piece of equipment came up before. We did price those out. They're about 50
Right.
grand.
Right, well, we would have,
half as much as another truck.
Right,
We
had
would've
the storm not happened, we would have had a serious conversation about it.
Yeah.
We're not the only town that
Right.
has a downtown, and
Yeah,
other
I know
towns
Brattleboro
have
has one.
comparable
Brattleboro
equipment.
has 28 miles of sidewalks, and we
Right.
have
No,
one.
right.
So anyway, so that's
Right.
the discussion I'd like to have,
Right.
that we,
Yeah.
come up with something. We need something better. It's
Yeah.
just not been good. Yeah.
As a veteran of this particular battle over a bunch of years, one of the suggestions that used to come up on a regular basis, I haven't heard for a while, was having the homeowners, or at least the people who have positions on that sidewalk, take responsibility for that piece in front of their house or business or whatever. Because we didn't have the manpower, we kept buying pieces of equipment, but just couldn't do the job because the state came around faster than we could possibly get to it. But the possibility of having somebody take responsibility themselves was never popular at all, ever. But maybe I'll come back on the table.
Can I throw something out there as a homeowner in town? We are taking responsibility for clearing the sidewalk in front of us, and lots of times, the end of the driveways around us and whatnot. And that's fine, but if that's gonna be effective, then the town needs to enforce the parking ban that happens, because lots of times we can't access the sidewalk and the area in front of us because there are cars parked overnight, and when the state comes by, that snow doesn't have anywhere to go except, around the sides of our sidewalk. So when the snow comes off our roof, we can't get through that pathway to the sidewalk, and you can't get around either side because there's cars parked in front of the sidewalk, in front of our yard. So that's fine, I'm happy to shovel and maintain the sidewalk. So there's that part. The other thing is that we have many absentee landlords in town. So if that's gonna be the solution, what are you gonna do for the property on the corner that's abutting the church that doesn't remove their snow at all, in which case you have somebody plowing the sidewalk snow up into a huge pile, and people have to go out into the road in order to get around it. So I am all for having a homeowner responsibility if the homeowner is present.
But I would, in addition to that problem, Sue, is that there are some homeowners in town who are not really physically capable. It's just,
Yeah.
you know,
And it's gonna be varying standards and times
Right,
and things.
exactly.
I mean,
I
it's,
think
it's an option, I mean, I hear you, Paul, I mean, I think that's the other thing too, let's list these out maybe on a big whiteboard or something like that, we'll sit there and say, what are all the challenges, what are all the options,
Right.
the solutions?
that would be great if you
It
guys
seems
are
like
up for
we're-
doing it.
At least for me, I feel like it's been bounced around a lot.
And it's important.
And it's not really gotten anywhere.
We're
and
snow
part of
town.
that's my fault, it hasn't gotten anywhere because we're.
Yeah,
we're
but it
limited
helps to
a
have
little
help.
Yeah,
Helps to have
yeah.
other heads. I agree.
So it sounds like a committee.
bit. Yeah, or that'd be good.
We can say an informal
That's why I didn't
committee.
A
say
group.
A small group.
A small group of people. And I guess I would invite any of the public that would want to
Yeah.
offer ideas or be part of that to contact us to be part of
Sure.
that.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sure there's
Great.
a solution out there that we don't know about.
Great. All right. The next, the next one is the increase in speeding. We do have the flashers on either end of town, which is great. But we've said it at prior meetings, there does seem to certainly be a lack of presence of the sheriff. And while they're, you know, and I'm gonna let Derek also share his, since he lives right square in the middle of town, so sees it a lot, but Patrick works, you know, right there too, and, you know, I'll be on the phone with him and I'll say, holy cow, you know, there's a truck speeding through town. You know, I'd love to get that data again from the traffic signs. I'm curious now, you know, just what's the data? What's the raw data?
I can offer raw data on the sheriff's presence.
Okay.
Between May 1st and July 7th, there were 58 tickets, you know, citations given.
Okay.
Seems like, oh, great.
All right.
Between July 7th and today, there was one.
Wow. Wow.
And
Oh, so people
same
stop speeding.
corresponding about warnings, like a lot of warnings in the fall, and there were 5 warnings given from July 7th to today. And supposedly this, you know, the sheriff has all their hours, and there's a discrepancy in when they say radar, you know, we used radar, or we monitored traffic, or we assessed traffic. And I got the report today finally from the wherever
Good
it
for
came
you.
from. But, well, Andy forwarded it, so good.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Andy.
Okay. Oh,
But-
yeah. we
But the
couldn't
fact
make
that
it tonight.
58 from May to, you know, and then they can say they're here, but
Certainly
something has changed.
raises a question.
There's less variety in the sheriffs that are patrolling this area as well. It had been a variety of about 4 or 5 different deputies, and now it's 1 and sometimes a second, so I don't know if that's
Part of the
relevant.
explanation.
And acknowledge that there's a lot of other things that have gone on in town over the summer with other calls they're responding to, but the traffic has, and anyone who lives on Main Street or works on Main Street will see, you know, Route 30. It has gotten out of control. And one proposal I would ask us to talk about as a board is, you know, we have to talk to the sheriff, maybe we can talk to the state, but could we submit a letter to the local contractors to at least remind their drivers to slow down? Because I'm gonna call them out by name: Amidon, Hunter, O'Brien, Coda and Clark fly through here with trucks full of gravel and loads, and they're going well above 30.
Okay.
And that's terrifying. And you know, as a friendly reminder, hey, just remind your drivers that as a partner of, you know, local municipality, try to be a role model. Try to help us out with this. You know, not in a coming at them way, but just in an invitation to help us work on this problem, because their trucks are going back and forth all day long. And I recognize
Absolutely.
after the floods there was excessive need, but you get a dump truck full of gravel or even the propane trucks, or, you know, and it's scary.
Oh, so it's propane trucks too.
Well, yeah, Coda and their
Oh, right.
both their service crew and their suppliers. And then you know, we can't do much about the out-of-state ones, the Jeffers and Clark Plumbing, I see, you know, and
But once a few slow down, then everybody else has to slow down behind them.
Right.
And they get, and to come out, I mean, I think we need to be proactive, or not proactive, but, to talk to the sheriff. I mean, let's help them, or have them help us find a solution to this. And maybe it's just a matter of reallocating where they think, they're probably going on what they think is useful for us. Has anyone even reached out to them and say, we want to dedicate half your time to the village? I mean, I don't know what that number is, or something. I mean, they need to give and take.
And I recognize this is only the village, and there's a lot of other roads and people in other areas in Jamaica that maybe are seeing the sheriff's presence, but I can also say subjectively, it has not been out here.
Well, just the total number of tickets,
That speaks for
citations that have been
itself,
written. I mean, I think that's really the eye-popping number,
Right.
at least, you know.
Right.
I think everything you said deserves attention and response, but that's a pretty alarming
I
number.
was quite surprised.
Yeah. Well, you asked the question, so thank you. So I think we've got some takeaways. I think we need to keep the conversation going.
Maybe we could invite sheriff to the next meeting, or maybe just have a phone call. or
I'm
something
gonna
here.
I'll copy all of us, but I'll email Andy. He'll watch the meeting, he'll hear the conversation to say, you know, here, just, can you distill our observations, for the sheriff? See if he would like to, I mean, in general, they seem quite happy to come to meetings and talk. We can certainly, as consumers of the services of the providers that you've listed off, we can certainly talk to the principals and say this has been observed. And, you know, it's you know, nothing wrong about doing that at all, and easy enough done. We're all in touch, you know, several of us are in touch with them regularly.
And how would we get data from the blinky sign?
Sheriff's office, the
No,
sheriff's.
actually, that would
Oh,
be,
I thought,
yes.
oh, those are ours? I thought
Yeah,
that they were
Deterioration's the only
on loan.
one that's ever done it. No, we've
Oh,
all.
so we have to figure out how to do
Well,
that.
there's a book and stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mary.
So there's-
Yeah, Mary can do it. Yeah, pretty soon, Anna's just gonna be like, Mary.
No, I know someone I can ask to show us how to do that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Would that be someone you're married to? No.
Could be.
Could be. Thought it might be. Okay. That would be
He
awesome.
knew someone.
Or he may know someone, right. Awesome, great, thank you. So we can regroup both, you know, with, you know, hopefully Andy bringing in the sheriff, we can regroup with that data. We've got the data you've already obtained, and in the meantime, we can certainly talk to our contractors.
Yeah, maybe just write a generic letter from the select board, please.
Right, although I'm a proponent of the phone call.
personally. We talk to that all the time. anyway.
We do,
Yeah.
we do. You know, a little bit more, you know, put a little emotion in it.
That's great, I just
right?
don't know anything, so.
All right, thank you for raising that. Okay, the State Park Bridge, I know there's been some, and I can't remember, Greg, if I talked to you about that or Mike?
Maybe either or both, I don't know. I mean,
Okay. I thought there is a plan,
there's a plan, yeah.
right.
So typically, and I think I said this before, and apologize, not necessarily an excuse. It's something that does get done roughly twice a year, spring and fall, to reposition the planks on there. I know Derek talked about sustainable and things like that. It is an old bridge. It's a long expansion. It's small metal. It's wood. Everything is flexible. If you stand on that bridge when there's a car going across, it's
Right.
so all the boards really just want to go like that.
Right.
And I talked to Keith about it, and they've used both lag bolts and large spikes, and have found that the spikes hold up better. We can do some sample testing, all that kind of stuff, but generally what happens is because of the moving, they come up just high enough, and especially in the wintertime, the heads will get sheared off. So then there's really nothing holding that in there. And they've just, over their experience, over doing this for a number of years, is that the large spikes tend to hold better. I mean, I wouldn't think so. I immediately thought the same thing, and that's why I asked Keith. I said, can we just put some big lag bolts in there? But they still also seem to work their way up, and then the heads get
Eventually,
sheared off,
yeah.
even when they're countersunk and lower than the.
And do you know when they do the repair? And partly, a couple people in town who had seen the last meeting said that Well, they said that they were gonna do it this week, I guess the timeline had been set.
I think
so-
I'm the one who said this week that it's, and I'll say it now again, it's this coming week.
It's in
I mean,
process.
there's a lot, and I should get better at saying that, not to be glib or to avoid.
Right.
But things happen, I mean, schedules get rechanged. In some ways, in a weird way, it's better that it's this week. The state park is now closed. So there's a little bit less traffic going over the bridge, because that's the other issue. If there's quite a lot of traffic, it has to, temporary closures.
When they do it, will they get boards that fit the empty slots as opposed to fitting in smaller boards into the bigger
So
slots?
I think
Will they actually
he
do
told
like-
me what he's gonna get. I mean, they're 2x12s, and I think that, I don't know the width of them, but they're gonna basically pull it back from each end to where they're more or less not damaged in the middle because of the flexing. They're damaged on both ends, by just a quick visual, but they're gonna peel it back to put in full pieces, not like 1 inch, one full of patches.
Yeah, like sometimes that's been
definitely
done in
falls
the
apart.
past.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
they gotta- And so, you have a board that's narrower and then there's, it shifts around and then people walking can get an ankle twisted.
Right, and those little boards are more
Yeah.
than likely to gonna pop.
Okay.
I'll double check in the morning that he's getting the big ones. We want the big boards on there.
Well, just a consistent.
The consistent
path
run.
all the way.
Yeah, right. Not
thank
a
you.
patchwork. We don't want a parquet bridge.
A parking. All right, well, thanks again for raising that one also. It was good to have an update. So the next is actually my item that I've added because I misspoke at the last meeting, or is that the right word? I made a mistake. So, some time ago, we developed as a town, we voted on and put in place a new road ordinance after a lot of work that involved members of the JPC, but it was not a project of the JPC, which is how I had characterized it. Partly because I knew that some of our discussions happened at JPC meetings, but they were not part of the JPC purview. In addition, the enforcement of the road ordinance will be at the Selectboard level. It is not that of the JPC. And in addition, the sign ordinance, our former sign administrator happened to be a member of the JPC. So I confused that with sign ordinance being under the enforcement of the JPC. None of these are. That was my mistake, so I want to correct the record. It will remain with us. In terms of the road ordinance, I think I mentioned when we last discussed this that the LCT had when I reached out to a bunch of resources to nail down the process for enforcement by the town, including creating a form of ticket. The folks at VLCT pointed out an error in the ordinance, and I just and I raised this at a prior meeting, but I've since then gone back, discussed it with Charlie, and also, we did share it with council, but these things happen. But definitely the consensus is that we need to update it. It's not a big change, so I'll probably draft it and just have Charlie look at it because I've been given the language by VLCT. So I will bring up the road ordinance for reenactment at the next regular meeting. Don't want to do that at an extraordinary meeting. The sign ordinance is going to be a little more work, and Kate's working on that, right?
Yeah, but then Greg was gonna, I know I've sort of.
No, I just updating that, the community, that Kate raised her hand very graciously, and she's gonna work on it with other folks. But that one is gonna take a little bit longer, I suspect.
I get
Too.
Because, it's probably a total redo.
Yeah, it looks like it. That's
Right,
like-
rather than trying to retrofit it, I think you're just giving yourself more work. So taking a whole cloth one, and I will say the folks at VLCT, they were amazing. He turned on a dime the road ordinance and also gave me some samples for tickets. So they were great. So That's all I would say about that, unless anybody else has anything to add.
Well, just curious, you say tickets, so tickets could be issued and this by the select board members or by the
No,
constable?
it's constable, so it's the individual who is afforded that authority by the town by virtue of election at town meeting.
But I thought, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, that we have the constable, but he hasn't been, there's a special training in order to actually.
We
Right.
can formalize that aspect of his. And we
Right.
could
And
deputize,
he's
so to
willing-
speak,
right.
anybody
You could-
to issue a ticket.
exactly.
Any one of us.
Exactly.
We could say, you're the
Yeah.
ticket meter person
Right.
or whatever.
I'll
But we
yeah.
haven't, and I don't know that we want to, but
Right.
because we have.
There's a process
Yeah,
to go
right.
through, and then, if someone gets a ticket in town, or gets, towed, they can challenge the ticket like anywhere else at the courthouse in Newfane, and, there's a process. Parking tickets, the fines are limited by statute. They're not that high, but you can write as many tickets as there are violations, and so that's something we can discuss once we have the ordinance enacted, and I can share with everyone the procedures, the process and procedure. Any other questions on ordinance enforcement? Okay, all right. With that, I get to reviewing and approving timesheets. We have the timesheets for the office, listers, highway, and transfer station. We will all take a quick look at them. Not quick, we will all take a look at them, those of us who haven't had a chance. But in the interim, I would like to suggest that I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the timesheets for the town office, listers, highway, and transfer station.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? No, seeing no discussion, I'll call a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Great, terrific. And the same for pay orders, which are at the end of the table, and we will take a moment to look at any that we haven't seen. But pending that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the pay orders.
Second.
Thank you, both. Any discussion? With no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Terrific. Any public concerns, Mr. John Q. Public?
And
I
if
mean,
you
Derek
are-
has already raised, we have folks on the Zoom, I apologize. Is anybody raising their hand? Can you-
Yes,
Tim.
Jeff.
Hi, my name is Tim Dressler. I'm a property owner on Millbrook Road. And first I want to say thank you so much to the select board for allowing the opportunity to communicate with you through Zoom, and I appreciate that very much. I was calling over an issue of the classification of the road that goes between my property and another homeowner, Dan Logan. And I was just inquiring about being able to have Keith be able to plow during the winter. It says that it's legally a Class 3 road, but then the town map has an asterisk saying that it's not up to standard. I tried looking through all of the meeting minutes on the select board to see if the discussion had ever come up in the past 5 years, and I couldn't find anything that deemed it not up to standard. I'm just wondering what I need to do, and look forward to your recommendations. Thank you.
I'll take that question. My name is Greg, Greg Melmans. Not only am I on the board here, but I am the road commissioner, so I act as an intermediary between the board and our highway crew. And I have to say, I did see your initial email come through, and I have to give this a little bit more research. I was under the understanding, and maybe naively so, that section was actually considered Class 4. That it was a designation between the two, the north and the south side. So I'm gonna take your challenge, so to speak, and say, okay, really, what is it? And we need to do a little bit of research. If indeed it is a Class 3 road, we'll see what we have to do. Previously, there was no residence on there. So to be honest, let sleeping dogs lie. There was no reason for us to plow it. So now there is at least one and potentially two reasons for us to plow it. So just need to do a little bit of research before answering your question.
I appreciate that very much. And just to summarize, it's really only the 300 feet from Vermont Route 100 to the end of it. And as I had written, it had a lot of trucks on it during construction, so it's not like it can't handle a plow truck. But I appreciate if you do some research and let me know, and also give me some direction if the research, deems that I need to do something else.
For certain, yes.
So this is off of 100 next to Coleman Hills?
Yeah.
Okay. And which part of it? It's the part that extends from 100?
It's the northern side, if you want to,
Oh, the northern town, oh, okay,
Yeah.
Town Highway 62. Okay, terrific. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to have it in my mind.
Thank you again so much, Select Board, for allowing that opportunity. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
great, thank you.
Do we have any other town folk who want to raise public concerns? Okay. All right. With that, I would thank everybody who came. Thank you, Mary. Welcome again. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moving.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye.